Ladies and gentlemen, looks like the tag is made. Ladies and gentlemen, this is it, folks. The main event.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Hot Tag Broadcast. I'm your host, Chris Thursday, and as a former Paul Heyman guy, I'd like to introduce y'all to this little thing of ours in conjunction with 97.6 WZRO. This broadcast today is going to feature the reaction of Survivor Series War Games. I have my tag team partner here, the BST. Say what's up to the people.
What's going on, y'all? Let's get it rocking.
So we had an absolute banger of a card today. Honestly, I have a lot of feelings towards what we saw today, but honestly, I think it was one of the best pay-per-views of the year when it comes to overall hype, but also when it comes to the ring work as well. I think it's one of the best. BST, how you feel about it?
Man, first and foremost, I just feeling to say, man, that women's match was really good. I feel like there was a lot of interesting ring work that was put on between both sides. The story, I feel like it kind of left a little bit to be desired. It kind of felt like it was more of a these two people on both sides have a little bit of beef with somebody else, but then we just got a couple extras who were thrown in here and we just gonna make it work from there. But overall, I feel like they really put on a great show, especially for the opener.
Oh yeah, for an opener, it was a banger of an opener. To be honest with you, I, there was a lot going on. I was very excited. Everybody came out looking clean. The costume design was on point. Everything else was on point. The hype was on point. The cage was looking very threatening, and also with the double ring, I was really interested to see what was going on with the ring, especially when it comes to the high flying spots. Especially with shouts out to EL Sky, my personal favorite. But
Yeah,
we did have a great matchup for that one. So we had Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Naomi, Io Sky, and Bailey. And rest in peace to Jay Cargill. Apparently, that Lincoln Town car, she got caught by the Tsunami Boyz. So we're gonna have a moment of silence for Jay Cargill.
allegedly.
Did you just talk in a moment of silence? That's so disrespectful. I hope Bron Reed finds you here soon. But we had Team Baddie with Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Naomi, and Io Sky and Bailey against the Mean Girls, Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, Nia Jax, Tiffy Time, Candice LeRae. So, BST, how'd you feel about the match?
Mm. So coming into it, I was really interested in the way the match was set up. You feel me?
Mhm.
Especially considering the fact that Team Ripley kind of got the advantage out of the start. I was really curious to see how they would kind of set their team up. And coming out with Bailey as your, I guess you could say, the starter against Nia Jax, I felt like was a very interesting start, just because that right there is a real serious setup. These are two champions going at it back and forth.
And also, it was a
Um,
callback from the last pay-per-view face up.
exactly, which I feel like they took a great opportunity of bringing back to light right there. Um, Nia was really getting to it real early. She does have the power advantage on her on that one. But as we both know, they got real into it real quickly, bringing in that second person. Naomi seems to be a game changer in a lot of these scenarios, because even in scenarios when she's not even the first person who they were initially wanting to call on, she still comes in and shows up heavily. That stink face was crazy, by the way.
It was so crazy. Naomi, like, let's talk about her. Like, she is the great six man when it came to this, even though it wasn't her time to be in the starting role as a six man coming in as number two for Team Baddie was just pivotal. It really was. Like, she brings a lot of energy into the matchup and also to give Bailey the leg up against Nia, which Nia finds herself not easily getting the leg up on as a champion.
Now, what I will also say in regards to that, and I'm gonna just get this award out because I found two people in role of this. Um, Candice LeRae definitely wins my award for most confusing addition to the match. Because when I tell you, she literally hopped in the match, and from beginning to end, I just had a question mark over my head. The chairs made no sense. The usage of the chairs made no sense. They tried to set Bailey up for a spot, and then she goes for the moonsault. Don't get me wrong, that was a dangerous spot if I've ever seen one. But boy, let me tell you, if you ain't got it, just don't go for it.
Yeah, and honestly, sometimes that can take away from the match. Just so when you see any weapons being used, and if they don't use it properly, or try to be a little bit too safe with them, it does take away from the weight of the chair. No pun intended. Like Nia Jax, when she got her hands on her chair on the chair, it was not it was not peak. To be honest with you, like she was trying to hit him, but also trying to be a safe worker as well. And honestly, I don't believe she's a safe worker. I mean, honestly, if you're gonna hit somebody with a chair, hit them with it. I know you're trying to protect Naomi, calling her no bitch, and trying to let her know like, hey, we don't take bumps this way no more. Still, just hit her with a chair. You guys know what you signed up for. It's fine. We understand. Little etc.
Yeah,
Never hurt nobody.
she definitely, I feel like, kind of slows down the paces of matches. Which I mean, in a
Oh,
situation
Naya.
like a war games, yeah, I feel
Okay.
like Nia definitely did. I feel like with war games in a scenario like that, it's kind of a high pace, high intensity, but at the same time, it's also an endurance match because it doesn't really start till everybody gets in.
And that's one thing I've
And
always been curious about when it comes to war games in general, because why I know it's supposed to be like spaced out in between, but it's not like a Royal Rumble where it builds up, but it still counts no matter what. Now the match doesn't start until everybody's inside the ring, but by then everybody's all beat up. So really all the spots have been done for the most part, until that last person comes in, then everybody can get their spot on. But I never understood that. Do you have an idea on why they try to go about it that way?
I don't know, man. And I feel like the more the match carried on, it just kind of became more of that. Although I will say, I do need to make this moment known. Bianca Belair has definitely been winning my award as of lately for best PLE outfits, which she definitely carried on tonight. Dude, she was looking fantastic. Also, on top of that, her ring work was great for the night. From that point on, it just kind of felt like the entirety of the match was a spot for spot for spot for spot, which is cool for a while. But then it just kind of gets stale when
It felt like a
every,
performance more than a match.
yeah, and that was getting to me. At first,
Yeah.
I was really locked into it, but it just seemed like as more and more people came in and we got closer to the end, I just lost it.
It didn't have a good blend to it. Like I understand where you're coming from. Like it felt like it was okay, guys. We got this. Okay, we got this, and after this, you go up there and get the trash can. You do your thing. But shouts out to
Which was
Bianca
dope.
Belair. Always shouts out to the EST. Outfit was definitely on point. Always is on point. Best wardrobe in the business, and also one of the great workers in this industry. Literally, I've not seen her in a bad match. She carries matches if she has to, but she is strong like
And another thing that I will say too is going into the match, I really gave Team Liv a heavy advantage just because they had Raquel, they had Naya. I mean, it just kind of seemed like majority of their team was not only more powerful but more determined to win because they had a lot more at stake. But it seemed like the moment Rhea came into the match, it really just kind of changed the entire landscape.
Oh yeah, no, like
Rhea just
Rhea is the ultimate hot tag. No matter what, she's coming in on fire and literally just slamming whatever's in her way. And she has a mean headbutt, even though she fractured her sinus muscle. And she just headbutting people, especially with that horn mask. Like that's the hardest shit I've ever seen before. Like the Monday night and Friday night SmackDown, she had that LeBron Miami Heat mask on, just showing out per usual.
the Rasheed Wallace.
Yes. Who else had the Rip Hamiltons?
Hell yeah. One thing I will also say too, just because I was thinking about it,
Hmm.
is that Rhea Ripley, while she is being booked as the one man wrecking crew right now, like that Riptide finished once Liv got in was probably one of the best finishes I have seen in recent past. It really showcases the devastation of her move and the table. Like she really looked like she absolutely destroyed Liv,
Well, I mean,
which
also
really,
she has a good weight advantage on Riv too, so she had a little bit more pop to it. Versus if she tried to do that to somebody who's a little bit more strong, like a Raquel, I don't think it necessarily would go as well. Just because like Rhea doesn't have that. She has natural strength, but when it comes to selling it, sometimes you might see the other person jump up to compensate for that. Versus a lot of times you can get that small lift and it kind of carry with it.
yeah. Now, one thing I will say about that match that I did really enjoy is that from all of the little setups and mashups, it did show a lot of potential ways and lanes that they can pivot from going for the future that look like some real good, interesting women's matches.
Yeah, do you see any
One of
storylines
which,
coming out of this?
Tiffany Stratton and Io Sky. Now, I know that they are both from different
Ooh.
networks, but I will say, as far as acrobatics and ability to do things go, these two could very much so make for a Hollywood performance.
I'm
Along with that, I'm really looking forward to this Raquel and Rhea um, build up because while I understand her being pissed off at Liv, I really need Liv to start implementing Raquel more because Raquel could really get a bump from this.
Oh, she definitely can get a pop from this. Like she has in recent past, or at least in recent memory for me, when it comes to her wrestling, it's just like she's been doing singles matches, fill-ins for tournaments, tag team here and there. This can really put her on the platform to really shine like the star she is, because now she can go up someone who is about physically around the same strength level. I haven't really seen her too much on the mic, but it doesn't have to be like that just because Liv is great on the mic. So really, she can just have Raquel be the enforcer type, just so she can get
Mhm.
those eyeballs onto her when it comes to her ring work. How she protects people when it comes to botches. How it comes to just over a great look. Have you seen that Cobra back shit she be doing all the time? Like she just be sitting
Yeah,
like,
man.
huh. You know, Rhea can't do that, but she be living off vibes, and that's fine. We love her just for that. But that would be a great matchup between both of them because it'd be a strength versus strength, but also it sets a screen for Rhea to go around to get to live. And I'm not gonna lie to you, that's a little Draymond screen right there. That's a heavy pick. So once you get past that, then it seems like the not the word I'm
Pretty
looking
optimum
for.
way to get to the title, man. Sound like.
It's the best way, and it actually kind of sets it up for Mania because instead of Rhea going against Liv every pay per view, now we can have Raquel in the mix, and now we can have stipulation matches and stuff like that. So it definitely sets
Yeah.
that up a lot for the future. I'm actually kind of interested. Mania's in early April this year, right? Or is it in March?
Yeah. No, I think it's in April this year.
Okay. Yep. So it's happening in Vegas. So I know they're gonna try to bring out all the stops on this one. But BST, let me ask you a question. How you feel about Tiffy Time taking her Tiffy Time trying to get that money in the bank cashed in?
Man, just about every single time I think I figured out, oh, well, I mean, she has to cash in here. This has to be the moment. I I mean, shoot, I thought she would have cashed in at Crown Jewel. I mean, I thought she would have cashed in here at War Games. I mean, this would have been the perfect opportunity to do it. She
Yeah.
just her loyalty to Naya, which I completely understand. I mean, that's like our homie, that's our ace. But to a certain degree, man, you got to make something shake because you're not gonna have too much longer to keep making a name for yourself, especially for just being money in the bank holder. You're gonna end up like Damian Priest. But I will also say,
But it worked
Damian
out for
Priest got a
Damien.
title out of his.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe she knows a plan that I don't understand. I'm not on Tiffy time, as you can see.
Well, it's daylight savings time, so you gotta check your watch. But I believe in Tiffany. I think that maybe she does betray Miss Jax here sooner than later, just because I mean she's just been a real meanie towards her, and Tiffany is not known to be taking people's shit too much. So this is kind of a new development for her. Hopefully, she realizes her self worth and gets Nia to Tiffy out of here and become the women's world heavyweight champion. Um,
I like what you
I,
did there.
I really would like for her to be the champion. Now, with the new United States Women's United States tournament happening, that could be a possibility, but I wouldn't see why creative would put the title on her, especially if she also holds the money in the bank, because now she is being looked towards as being a double champ, which I don't think we've seen in the women's division. Have you ever seen a double champ? Was Becky Lynch a double champ?
The Becky Lynch or Bailey had to be.
I,
The
I
only
would
ones
I
who
would
I could
expect
think
either one of them, but for her to be that, especially coming this early out of NXT, it is a great
is
cosign.
crazy.
But we'll see what happens with that one, and especially when the tournament ends, and hopefully my Chelsea Green wins it all on that one. So with that one, we can speak of the United States Championship. We can move on to the next match, Shinsuke Nakamura and LA Knight. How do you feel about that one, BST?
As well, I thought this one was a fantastic match. I mean, from the start to the finish, I really enjoyed the way that LA Knight has kind of turned into this. I guess screw everybody, I'ma just handle me type character. He's just been very loud, very vocal,
He's got the
very I'll
juice.
take on any challenge. Yeah, man. And it seems like for every challenge that he's taken in, I mean, he's coming back out as a winner. So I feel like I mean he's been a great person to take the title off of Logan Paul to say the very least about him. But
I,
Shinsuke has definitely proven to be a great opponent.
oh yeah, for sure. Especially with LA Knight, like his character development over the last year, from him being hot as fish grease to start out, I really think they should have put the mid card title on him a lot sooner. Just because with Logan Paul, which I'm pretty sure it's a contract agreement that they had with the WWE to give him the title, because I don't honestly think why he should get it in the first place, especially with him being a quote unquote part timer. Um, with LA Knight, he can definitely take that to the moon and back if he really wanted to. But inside the match, it didn't necessarily go his way with Shinsuke Nakamura picking up the dub on LA Knight. And honestly, I like the rebrand of Shinsuke a lot, just because it he has this like the Star Wars character. Is it Rilo? Not Rilo. Kylo.
Oh, Kylo Ren? Yeah,
Not
for sure.
Mario.
I don't know what that one was.
But just the Sith Lord type of look that he has. They reworked his interest music, and he also redid his lighting. So honestly, he looks a lot more serious. Maybe he had like a little adventure where he didn't come back not necessarily the same, or maybe he tapped into his inner dark arts and was able to bring out that next level with him that's always been there. And also with the poison mist, it's a nice touch. It always has and always will be. It's a
Fantastic look,
classic.
yo. Shout out to Jerry.
Shouts out. Do you have any more comments about that match?
Um, well, what I will say, just because I feel like it was probably the most pivotal moment, the usage of both rings, which I mean, I guess in any other situation you wouldn't be able to do.
Yeah.
But hey, I mean, I guess they always say, I mean, the early bird gets the worm. And I feel like I've always thought when watching War Games matches, why not? I mean, technically, what's the worst that happens? If I go into the other side of the ring, do I just get a 10 count? I mean, because from that point, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
I mean, but
I really thought like you can leave over the ropes and you can like use the other rope and like get some momentum and jump into the rope, almost like a outside dive, but inside.
I
But
mean, it
neither
just
one of them are
opens up
high
the
flyers, so
realms,
I wouldn't see why they would do that. I don't think there's too many high flyers on the card outside of the Usos and Io Sky. Everybody else is pretty grounded. Well, I would say Tiffany Stratton too, but she's not a daredevil necessarily. She's just more of I got top rope skills, but she's not doing no
yeah, high
450
flyers.
flips.
But I mean, I will say now that Shinsuke does have the title, I'm very interested to see how his reign looks. Just
Hmm.
because I've never known him to be a huge mic person,
He doesn't
so
speak
we'll
much
s-
English, so it's kind of hard.
so we'll see how that goes. You know, maybe to find a reason to bring Carlito over or something, and he'll help him get going.
Yeah, and also, what happened to his previous beefs? Wasn't he beefing with everybody before WWE went on that Japan tour and he
Which is
switched
another
hips?
reason why I'm curious. I mean,
Because he was beefing
I
with
feel
Cody
like
Rhodes
everybody
pretty
and their
hard.
mom is gonna be at Shinsuke's neck. I feel like he's gonna be defending every time you turn around.
I mean, he doesn't have
But
many
we'll see.
friends.
Exactly. So we'll see how he defends.
Okay. And on to the next match, we have Braun Breaker, Sheamus, and Ludwig Kaiser for the
Oh.
Intercontinental Championship. Oh, okay. We got some barking for the dog. I got you.
Oh yeah, man.
So
Huge
with
Braun Breaker fan.
huge Braun fan, honestly, I can't wait to see him as WWE champion one day. It might be not this year, but probably next year
It's
for
gonna be a
sure.
little while.
I can definitely see him with the World Heavyweight Championship. Not necessarily the world, I mean the WWE Championship. Not saying that can't happen like the next 2 or 3 years from now, but he's developing quite well. Like he is really looking like the number one pick in the draft, and he is
Oh
showing
yeah,
that every
thousand
week in and
percent.
week out. And with this match once again, like I said in the previous episode, that Sheamus is just there as a mediator, a punching bag, for you will, just because, like I said, Kaiser has nothing for Braun Breaker. This man is a superstar. Kaiser can do all the underhanded tactics that he wants, but at the end of the day, Braun is like Miami Heat LeBron. You can hope to stop him. He's still dunking on the ground. no matter what. You can flick him in his eye. You can hit him with whatever German moves you have up your arsenal. Nothing. Bron Breaker,
Wiener
American,
Schnitzel.
F-150, twin cab. No, that's a 350 right there. Excuse me. I don't want to disrespect Bron Breaker. How you feel about the match, BST?
Man, Braun, as usual, looks like a freaking monster, dude. Um, when they were initially announcing this PLE, I was more so interested in this match more than a vast majority of them, just because one, I feel like Braun Breaker is probably the greatest athlete that the WWE currently has.
Bar
I
none.
mean,
I don't.
nobody else stacks up to him, dude. He almost kind of reminds me of like Prime Batista, dude. He's just
Ooh, that's a good comparison right there. I was thinking about that.
aggression at all times. Like I feel like he literally wakes up in the morning and just sees that little photo of John Cena, like ruthless aggression, and he just goes through his whole day.
That's amazing because I don't know who has a picture of John Cena. I have not seen him in a very, very long time. And also another good comparison for Braun Breaker would be Rhino. If you remember his ring
Hell
work,
yeah,
he
hell
reminds me a
yeah.
lot of Rhino, but just
The
a tad
gore,
so much. The athleticism in Braun Breaker is insane. Like as a former football player, he's just quick on his feet. Just his timing is always on point. His footwork is so impressive. And that's the reason why he's able to run the ropes the way he is because his footwork is on point. He does not miss a step. He does not miss cue. Sometimes he runs
hmm
so perfectly, he'll just like glitch through the ropes. It's weird. It's almost like he's breaking the matrix with that one.
dude. At one point, he literally went for a flying shoulder block, dude, and almost completely jumped over Kaisa. It was one of the most athletic things I've ever seen. But just on top of that, like you don't even have to sell something like that. Like he's coming at you so fast, bro. You can't sell that. You just absorb it.
Yeah, like you, there's nothing you can do. Like once again, that's a balanced breakfast right there, and he's jumping shoulder first into you. Even if I was a running back, I would not want that at all. That's a
That
Kaiser's
spot,
better than
like,
me. I'd have moved.
bro, that spot like 2 weeks ago when he tried to spear dude and just hit the side of the table. I was like, bro, that probably would have killed a normal man.
Oh no, he hit the corner of. He didn't even hit the side. He hit the corner and went like straight in his like his core, and he just ate it.
Broski shouldn't be okay.
No, not at all. That's how much of a beast he is. I wish I had
Um,
something nice to say about the rest of the match. There's gonna be a Braun Breaker segment.
yeah,
Yeah, big dog of the week.
Bron. Oh, oh, oh. I mean, unfortunately, I really don't have nothing else to give you. Like I will tell you, Ludwig Kaiser has come a long way.
Yeah,
From just kind of standing around behind Gunter when he was chilling with Giovanni Vici, who
they
was,
did him dirty, by the way.
hey man, I mean, if Ludwig's whole thing is I'm just an opportunist, I'm gonna do whatever I have to do to win a match, and sometimes it's gonna come across a little dirty. I mean, it's just oftentimes you'll see with those people that oftentimes leads to how you lose the matches.
Yeah, and I think his moveset can use more of a refreshing, just because a lot of his moves, like well, most heels are quote unquote coward heels. They have these underhanded tactics like the eye pokes, rakes,
Low
stepping out the
blows.
ring, yeah, all that stuff. Like honestly, I think he has like an edge like quality to him where he can take apart. He's still a ring technician, and I can tell about that, but it seems like his moveset is not playing to his actual ability because he is still on the Gunther in Imperium. Is Imperium still a thing since there's only two of them now?
Oh yeah, for
Or
certain.
okay, because I didn't know if they had like a manager thing going on for him and he wrestles like sometimes. But I think he definitely shines. And I think he will look even stronger with Gunther with a better move set and also with a title on him. I just don't think he's getting one off Braun Breaker. And like I
We
mentioned,
need to bring the European back,
yes, we need to bring the
man.
European back and just have them both because I'm pretty sure they'll be thugging with both of them, the World Heavyweight Championship and the European Championship, and they just sitting there at the entrance, hands behind their back, both with the gold. Like if they can do it for the Judgment Day and any other staple that needs to show that power, like they did with the Bloodline or the Hurt Business, they can definitely pull it off with Imperium, and it will go so fly.
For sure.
And especially with the European Championship, it doesn't have to belong to either brand. It can go between each brand. So that gives opportunities for both Monday Night Raw and SmackDown to have more champions on the roster when you still have your United States champion for SmackDown and your Intercontinental for Raw. That a European can just kind of be an in between type of title. Hell, sometimes he can even go to NXT if under the right circumstances.
Under the right circumstances, that wouldn't be a bad idea at all. I mean,
No,
for
not
real,
at
just
all.
share the wealth, share
Yeah.
the highs.
And honestly, sometimes that can probably give an opportunity for someone at NXT to break through the main scene on the main shows and get some TV time. And who knows, maybe get some gold around the waist. But with that one, I mean, Braun Breaker definitely picked up the dub because nobody had nothing for nobody. Mentioned that we didn't mention Sheamus at all because he was just there.
Champion still.
Still. Then we have our next match with the Ring General Gunta and Damian Priest, which this one was one of my favorite ones to watch, even though I do find Gunta's style to be kind of slow, but it's very effective. It's very cynical. Can't lie.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it kind of reminds me a lot of heels of old who are just really good at kind of taking the audience, taking the idea of the traditional fight out of it and just saying you're gonna work at my pace.
Yeah, and he does it so well. Like you're literally going at his pace. You're not moving any faster than what he wants to. And if you're moving too fast, he will slow down a match for you. And that's when he's at his best. And when he slows it down, he's good at clock management. Like for
Dude,
him
it's
to
so
be a
funny.
technician, his clock management skills is one of the best. And that's the reason why he's champion, because he takes his time, he's patient. Most people get a little caught up in the moment. Now Gunta, cool, calm, collected.
He's the only person that I know in the history of wrestling that will start a chop off with somebody, and it won't even be somebody who traditionally uses chops in their move set. But he just makes you fight like he fights, which is like, I'm gonna win.
He's gonna win
Now
every
I w-
time. Like he's never lost a chop battle. Even back in his NXT days, and back when he was in UK, he was chopping people down. That man's a lumberjack.
from the promos that they were cutting, I really was starting to feel like Damian Priest was getting sick and tired of losing, and was really gonna come into this fight with maybe at least like a game plan or something.
As he should.
To
He's been taking a lot of L's, and I think the last real dub he took was Bash at Berlin with Rhea Ripley against Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan.
Yeah, and it's like, man, outside of like matches that were based on emotion, matches that were based on business, it just seems like he was really starting to lose for no reason.
But then he
It's
also
like,
had the
dog, that's
Judgment Day on his back too. You know how they get down.
and I understand that, man. Not everybody can survive a jumping, but bro, when you are literally almost 7 feet tall, bro, you gotta make it work somehow.
Yeah, but you 7 foot tall, and you still got the leprechaun Finn Balor just hitting you with the coup de grace. I mean, that still hurts, my bro.
Bruh,
And
I
Carlito
literally
just
looked and
sitting there
saw how
just
old
with an apple.
bro was. Hurt my soul, man.
Well, him being
There's no
like
reason,
42.
bruh. Doesn't make sense.
Oh, if you mad about that, guess how old LA Knight is?
How
42.
old is LA Knight? No fucking way.
Yeah, you can see the gray in his beard. Like I said, man, most
No.
wrestlers when they get to like the main, like the pinnacle of their profession, they're old as hell. Like Randy Orton being world heavyweight champion like at 22
Yeah,
was literally a
I will
special
give you
thing.
that.
Just because like he's so young, like he's like a few years removed from high school. Now, mind you, he is second, third, actually he's third generation wrestler, athletic as all know what. It is a reason why we're still seeing him today. Matt, guess who? Guess how old Randy Orton is?
44?
42.
42. I was close.
I
Shame.
shit you not. Like everybody's around the same age. CM Punk is around the same age. So everybody is coming up in this same generation just for them to still be in the main event scene. Not saying like that's a bad thing, but it's just everybody's old, man. Like they can't sustain
Yeah.
that for so long. Like with LA Knight being 42 and he just got into let's basically just say he just got into the league like a few years ago. How far can he go at that point? Like, can he have some developments and stuff? Or, once you hit 50, I mean, then again, we did watch Ric Flair wrestle until the very bitter end. So who knows?
I
Maybe he
mean,
can pull it
I'll give
off.
you that. Shoot, if I'm not mistaken, I think Damian Priest was like 42. And guess what, guys? This is the most important part.
He is
If
42.
you didn't already guess it, Damian Priest lost. Now, what I will say about Damian Priest losing is this was probably the closest he got to winning the match until Finn Balor shows up. Like at this point, he just needs to talk to Aldis and to the general manager and just be like, bro, just please ban him. Like, lock him in a room by himself. Don't allow any of the Judgment Day to get in 20 feet of me. Like, file a
A
restraining
restraining
order.
order? That's crazy. It's crazy work. Like, hey, none of you guys can come near me at all, even as individuals. Please stay away from me.
Which still kind of draws confusion into this whole scenario because for Damian Priest to continue losing, but to always be getting screwed over in some sort of manner by Finn Balor, it really leads to question, can he beat him? Can Gunter truly beat Damian Priest without any sort of distractions or anything else outside of it?
Honestly, I think they're evenly matched when it comes to on paper size. They both match in the same height, so they don't have that necessary. They don't necessarily have that disadvantage of one being more physical. Like none of them are high flyers, except for Damian Priest. He'll get up in the air every once in a while, but traditionally he stays on the ground and uses his martial arts to basically. They're both strikers, so that's basically where they basically that's where they move the match is with their hands. They're not necessarily doing big slams all the time. It's not that many suplexes. It's not that many side slams, spine busters. It's just hands. Like the chop off
Just
was
hands.
just hands. The chop off was basically a, a showcase to their strengths for that match. But Gunta yet again being a technical general, if you will, and he choked out Damian Priest a few times. And the last time, it was the last time.
Yeah, he wasn't kicking out of that one.
No, he wasn't kicking at all. He was unconscious. So yeah, rest in peace to that man. Go get that man an Excedrin and a coffee. Then our next match, we have the main event.
Ooh, the main event.
The main event. The main event that everyone came to see for. We have the OG Bloodline versus the YNs, the new Bloodline. So this
I
is not.
love you, Solo.
We all love you, Solo. We appreciate what you did for Jacob. When he got out the joint, you got him them 2 sweaters. We appreciate that. We
He
recognize.
never forgot that.
Never forgot that. He will murder somebody for you right now. Just say the word. You saw someone at catering looking at you funny, he's knocking their food out their hands. No questions at all. He loves you,
He will
Solo.
ruin your kid's birthday party for
For you. Just off strength, off the back. Crashing out at Chuck E. Cheese. No questions asked. So with Roman Reigns bringing back the family, because family matters. So we have Roman Uso, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, Sammy Uso, and the new addition to the family, CM Uso.
CM Puso.
Not Puso. Let's just call him by his name. What's his name? Philip. Let's call him Philip.
Phil.
So Philip brought Roman Reigns' best friend and also his wise man, Paul Heyman, back into the mix. So the band's back together, and now they got a new problem they got to face: Solo Sikoa and the new bloodline. So the new bloodline consists of Solo Sikoa, aka Big Solo, Big Dog, Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, and Tongaloa. Excuse me, the infamous Tongaloa, and also the new Oos of the family, Big Bronson Reed.
Because everybody's a Oos.
Everybody's an Oos. I'm an Oos. You don't see my tattoo right now, but it's definitely being worked on right now. I'm talking to Roman. We're getting some paperwork figured out. Trust me, when I know, you guys would know. But with that, so BST, how you feel about the Tsunami Boyz going against the OG Bloodline?
So I mean, shoot, I honestly feel like the entirety of the lead up to this was interesting. Solo, I feel like probably cut one of the best promos of the year when he sat down with the entirety of his bloodline and just kind of talked about the past with Roman and a lot of the callbacks to him and his family and the debacle that was him losing the Ulafala. I just kind of feel like they oftentimes were making the first moves. The OG bloodline was just kind of scrambling to make things work, whereas the new bloodline just kind of showed truly how strong they are.
They had time to prepare. versus the old bloodline. Excuse me, the original bloodline was able to. But they was having a hard enough time finding people to fight.
I mean, let's be honest. Jacob Fatu coming into the WWE was the greatest acquisition in the recent past.
Oh, for sure, the best free agent pickup I've seen in a long ass time.
I mean, and then on top of that, him joining in with Solo Sikoa, who was already coming from being one of the scariest enforcers to now leading a group is crazy.
Yeah, like with Solo being so calm and controlling a group full of killers, it's the scariest thing around. It's like Omar and the Wire. It's just when you see them coming, it's just start whistling like you better give it up or it's going down. And I'm not gonna hurt you. That's in the past. Big Solo don't get his hands dirty no more. But this guy back here in the Escalade, I recommend you just give it up because once he gets out that car, he's upset because
He
he's
earned
comfortable.
those grills, cuz.
He earned them. You see, with every grill, that it's not a whole grill; it's individual teeth. For each of his victims, he got a gold cap. He has a full set. So do what you will with that information. Just give me the bag. Just give me the Ulafala, and everything be cool. Okay, Roman?
I'm just saying, like, just with the four of them, they were a destructive force.
They
And
did,
then to go out and then secretly grab Bronson Reed,
aka
which
Kevin Durant. They just added him to the Warriors.
nobody would have saw at all. It's like, okay, so you want me to go against
Wait, hold
Jacob
on.
Fatu?
It's not even like they picked up Kevin Durant. You remember when the Warriors picked up DeMarcus Cousins after Kevin Durant?
Like,
Cancel
let's just do
Christmas.
it.
Cancel the whole season. It's over.
So after I beat Jacob Fatu, I have to turn around and then say, "Oh, Bronson Reed, I got to get rid of you two." Like, bro, that is ridiculous.
And mind you, that's only two people. It's out of five. And you still have Solo Sokoa just still in there. Like there's too much to really wrestle with on that one. Like the Tsunami Boys. Then okay, once you get past them, if you get past them, now you have big Solo to worry about. Come on now.
And infamous Tamaloa.
I'm glad he stayed
Come
out the
on,
way.
man.
I'm
I
okay.
mean,
So let's rewind all the way back to the women's War Games match. I think what's infamous Tamaloa is the Jade Cargill of the group because I'm glad he was there to do what he was supposed to do. But honestly, if he had anything to do with that match, it was going to ruin everything. I think Jade in the women's War Game match would have necessarily brought nothing to the table except for just vibes, yes, but just poor performance otherwise.
yeah, they would have had have a section where Jade and Bianca do both of their finishers to where
Ugh.
Rhea finishes with the Riptide, and I wouldn't have enjoyed a bit of that, to be honest with
Boo.
you.
Get
Yeah,
off the
man. Like,
stage. Where your poems at?
I mean, this has been a good push for Jade, but I think it's really about that time to where you got to let her fly and
No.
kind of learn it on her own.
If that was the case, I had to put her ass in NXT. So honestly, this is not gonna be the last we saw of Jade, even though she did damage that Lincoln Town car. Hopefully she didn't get tsunami. But we'll just
I
have
mean,
to
I
ask.
think the town car came out worse than she did,
I mean, she ain't War Games. They can get a new hood. They
and
can't get a
neither
new
is that
Jade.
car.
Yeah, maybe she got hit with that tsunami, but hopefully she rests up and comes back stronger than ever. But honestly, with that whole storyline with Bianca and Jade, I think that's going to carry into Mania, and I think Jade might be tired of living under Bianca's shadow. Now, realistically, Bianca does cast a large shadow. She is the EST of course. But with Tamaloa not in the match, basically just holding it down. Oh, excuse me, Tongaloa. Keep mispronouncing this name. I get them all confused. They need to come up with a tag team name so I can name them like as a unit. But with him not in the match, but Tamatanga being the star of the show or the show stealer, when I talk about 6 Man of the Year, this is J.R. Smith we're talking about here. People don't appreciate him, but once he gets on that floor, production.
Fantastic
Highlights.
wrestler, by the way. I
Fantastic wrestler.
enjoy
He's not getting
every
his
bit
due.
of watching him. He sells great.
I think he can benefit from a singles run. I think Tamatanga can be their main event Jey Uso. I think he can be the right hand man.
In the same exact way that he oftentimes finds himself in matches that are for like some sort of a tournament leading up to something. Yeah, I think he could have a much better run.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because I remember there was one recently that he ended up making it to either the finals or the semifinals. I can't remember exactly what the structure of the match was, But he looked good in every match that he was a part of.
He looks good in New Japan. Like he is one of those ones. Like that's a great pickup as well. Even though he did find his way to get over with the crowd with the yeah 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 yeah. And he's going to benefit greatly from a singles run. Now I'm not sure if they're going to break up the bloodline at Mania and see how that concludes. Well, I'm not sure if they're going to get absolved into one big bloodline and they just going to continue wrecking shop. I know Jay Uso
That's
probably
way
doesn't
too
want.
many people.
That's exactly, bro. I'm telling you, there's a lot of Usos in there too. So I'm interested to see how that plays out and how everybody else develops in their career, or maybe they just go into a separate storyline. Who knows? I guess we have to wait for that until next year. But outside of that, the match was amazing. All parts. Like, I don't understand what was the difference between the women's war game match and the men's war game match, but for some reason, it just seemed like the coordination was on there. It was on point.
Intensity was up as well.
Yep, the storytelling was there. The usage of the ring was well. There wasn't as many botches, even though there was a few mistakes that happened. Some of them cost more than others. But overall, it felt more smooth than the women's match. And I really want to rewatch it and find out what went wrong in the women's match so much, or what could have been different. Like when Raquel tried to bring it in on the table, for some reason, it just wasn't coming from under the ring. And there's only so many times you can really like fuck with it before you actually get like, we gotta move on type of ordeal. Versus with the original Bloodline match, the Bloodline versus Bloodline match, it's perfect all around. Like there was no hiccups whatsoever. Even when they locked the cage, and they was like, "Hey, how do we fix this?" And they was looking at each other like, roll
Climb.
with it. Had him climb in and everything else, and it's like, man, how do you necessarily, how do you play that off? Because like, imagine you climbing up on a steel cage, and that's nerve wracking all around. You got all these people staring at you, and you at the very top of it. And now you got to go down and you see a bunch of sharks just waiting for you. Like, hey,
You got
bro.
Jacob Fatu looking at you.
And Bronson Reed looking at you. And all they see is lunch. Everybody else is taking a break. I can't wait for them to be a tag team. If they keep Bronson Reed in the bloodline, him and Jacob Fatu is going to be the new tag team champions. Just another reason why they shouldn't be, because who is going to stop them? They had a hard enough time getting Bronson Reed to stop hitting Seth Rollins with the tsunamis like 7-11 times. Put him out of action for a few weeks, close to a month. And you add Jacob Fatu with that? Imagine getting hit with a tsunami. And on the other side of the turnbuckle, you got Jacob Fatu in the air.
Imagine Tongaloa as your wise man, Fatu and Reed as your tag team champions, plus you. Acknowledge, bruh. That's a new kingdom right there.
What, Jacob
Roman can't do nothing about that.
Oh yeah, no. You might as well just go to a different
Roman gonna have to pull out a gun.
Yeah, you gonna have to. I will recommend that. I think Jacob can take 2 shots and still hit you. He's gonna no sell him, and it's gonna be wild. Like, wow, this is a whole 9mm.
I did want to ask you, because I was thinking about it, CDT. What was you thinking about Roman's performance in the ring?
It was a lot better than his last performance at Bad Blood, I'll tell you that. I mean, leading up all the way from Bad Blood to the War Games match, he has been, actually, he's made a few memes on the way, so I'll give him that. But outside of that, his ring work has been very much just, he's been doing spots when it comes to promos. Like, he'll come out to the ring, hit somebody with a Superman punch, do a couple rope runs, duck under, Superman punch or a spear. Then he gets to the corner, Then he tries to go to Superman punch, they dodge it, then they jump him as usual, gets hit with a spike, and he's in a fetal position, roll credits. So it's been like that for a few weeks. No matter who's involved, that's basically just been a recipe of what he's been doing. And now in this match, he gets to show out a little bit more. He doesn't have a Cody Rhodes, anybody else. I mean, outside of the Usos, I mean, you still have CM Punk, the Usos, and Sami Zayn, so you don't have a bunch of slouches around, but he didn't necessarily catch my eye on the ordeal outside of being Roman Reigns. So with this one, he was definitely there, but I think he was just there for more of a storytelling than necessarily the performance. Because when it comes to a War Games like match, or I guess his last few matches, he hasn't necessarily been, I want to say, putting in the effort, but the performance hasn't been to his level that he has put forth onto us for the last few years.
I would definitely agree with that. I feel like more so he's just kind of left a lot to be desired. We just kind of come to know Roman for a
We just have a
Superman
lot of
punch and
hype.
a spear.
Like after he dropped the
Yeah,
title to Cody, we have been like, well, he's not here anymore. So it's like you don't know what you have until it's gone. Because for the last 4 or 5 years, it's been the Roman show. It's been the
yeah.
tribal chief or the
And
OTC.
we'll hit you with a golf cart.
He will hit you with a golf cart all because you told his right hand man that he gets your coffee for him. Just talk about a super villain just
And
being a villain. Like he had nothing to do with that. That was really Jay's beat.
get jumped for the next 2 years for him.
3. Actually, he's been getting jumped
Yeah.
since COVID. So if that puts a time scale on it. Yeah, man. Shouts out to the Usos for being instigators, primetime instigators, Hall of Fame level instigators. I think Jimmy won a gold medal in the last Negro Olympics. Great instigator. Literally just said, hey Jay, guess what? We're gonna just talk to Roman and just talk about Kevin Owens and say, like, hey bro, he called you pussy. And I get your coffee because I'm pussy and he called our family pussy, basically. He's like, okay, great. So we're just gonna jump
Let's
him,
go
right?
squash you.
Let's go squash him right now. Like, are you sure we had catering? Right now. The food would still be
Right
here.
now.
And Kevin Owens hasn't known peace. I mean, yeah, he's been in storylines here and there, but you know what that's been consistent in Kevin Owens' life? The business end of a Uso boot. He's definitely tasted some Air Force Ones. They literally tied him up on the ropes, arms out like he was being crucified, and just hit him
There's
with Air
very
Force
few
Ones.
people who have taken more super kicks.
Especially at once. I think he set a record. I've never seen someone being like held up by the ring. He's being portrayed by the squared circle, which is wild.
Just to get super kicked.
Again, by 2 niggas that look the same.
So you don't even know who super kicked you for
You
real.
really don't. The only difference is like I think he has some red in his hair. I think that was Jay. Or maybe that was Jimmy. It's kind of hard to tell. I'm seeing stars right now.
They both got paint on like half their face, but for real, for real.
They look the same. They all look the same. I know Kevin Owens is from Canada, so you know how they get down. But with CM Punk being introduced into the match, it's kind of I've always still wondered why he's in the match. I understand he is a draw for people to come and see, but I just never understood what his quarrels would be outside of being a Paul Heyman guy. So with Paul
What was
Heyman
the
showing up,
favor?
exactly what was the favor? He definitely whispered to Paul and was like, "Hey, bro, you owe me one." And what does he owe him? What is he going to cash in his Paul Heyman Money in the Bank in? When is that going to happen? Is it going to be with Roman? Is it going to be an introduction to probably get Brock Lesnar back into the mix? He has his own problems.
I need keys to the Brock.
I need keys to the Brock. And honestly, why? Why would you even want problems with him? You have enough with Jacob Fatu and Bronson Reed on the loose. And you want to add Farm Boy into the mix? No, I'm good.
No beef.
That's asking you to be Kevin Owens.
That's a balanced diet.
That's not a balance. That's overconsumption right there with Brock Lesnar. That's obesity. Like I'm sure he doesn't use a tractor to mill down his crops. I'm pretty sure he just goes in and rips them up by hand. He strikes me as that kind of guy. But with CM Punk, he did have a lot of important spots. I think he was really there just for the vibes of it because I didn't really see too much ring work from him outside of him just taking camera time and doing actions
Nothing.
that moves the plot. See, I'm trying to be nice about it. And you just over here talking about he did nothing. Like
Nothing. That nigga.
Philip is a very important character in this story.
He
Philip
got a
is the
favor
man.
out of this.
He
That's
did.
about it.
He got a favor for not really doing nothing. He just got a favor for showing up. Like, hey, Paul, I'm here.
He got to run into a corner and knee somebody in the face.
Yeah, and that's it. And like he just showed up just to say he showed up. So shouts out to the stepdad of Philip, showing up for Roman Reigns for the first time ever. But with that, he did save Roman's life because I don't know why Bronson Reed, with his sick mind, decided to climb up on top of the steel cage. And you know what? I am 330 pounds. I am going to land on Roman, and he's going to go splat, and all this is going to be over. And Solo Sikoa would be our tribal chief.
My vote for the craziest spot of the year
Yeah, whoever thought that up is insane. And for Bron to be
is
like,
probably Bron.
boy, I'll do it, is even wilder. Like
It was probably him, for real.
he's not Grayson Waller. Like, why would you want to do that? You see him how he did with that Lincoln Tower card? He overthought it. He was like, whoop, I don't want to overshoot this. Well, he low key undershot it, and shouts out to Philip for pulling Roman out the way because Bronson Reed will be out for the foreseeable future because he landed kind of
Considerable
awkwardly,
time.
and he landed on his foot first instead of going through the table, which I have never seen a table in WWE be broken in 3 different sections. So I'm not sure if they gimmick it that way, but he literally broke that table into 3. And once again, at 330 pounds, it's only right. It's 2 threes.
Coming
So
right on your foot.
literally,
Right
just
down on your foot.
right on
Pause.
your foot. So as he was slowly getting up, everybody else was progressing through the match, and with everybody down, now Solo Sikoa found himself on the business and the people he once called family. He found himself in the middle of the ring by himself, like Denzel Washington in Training Day, surrounded by Roman Uso, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, Sammy Uso, and the newest member of the family, Philip
CM
Uso.
Uso.
Yeah. And with Philip Uso just sitting there, Solo Sikoa's just like Denzel in Training Day. He's pulling cases on all you motherfuckers.
Oh, yeah.
They gonna be playing basketball in Pelican Bay when he's done with them.
He was over there telling them everything they want to hear.
Everything. Like Roman, I told the people they didn't deserve you. Jay, I tried to bring you in. Jimmy, I tried to bring you in. Sammy, I believed in you in the first place. You was my ace
kicked
boom
me in the
coon.
face.
And you kicked me in the face, bro. You know you foul for that. Come on, Habibi. Philip, don't know why you're here, but we're glad you're here, player. And one by one, they hit him with their signature moves. And shouts out to Solo, even though it got kind of sketchy with Philip trying to deadlift that man. Once again, Solo Sikoa billed at 250 pounds, which is a lot to deadlift. Yeah, CM Punk. Philip ain't no John Cena. He's
At
not
all.
that strong. No, not at all. That man is skinny, and I know a skinny person, and he can't lift much. So to have Solo Sikoa be lifted by Philip Uso is wild work. But second time is the charm. He got it off. And continued the onslaught of our tribal chief, Solo Sikoa. So with that ended Survivor Series War Games. And honestly, BST, what would you give a rating of the match? Well, actually, let's do it from the top down. Let's give our ratings for the match. So for the women's War Game match versus Team Baddie versus Team Mean Girls, what do you give that rating?
I will give that one I'll give it a 6 out of 10.
You're nicer than me. I'll give it a 4. But personally, if I want to give it a rating, I'll probably give it a 9 because I got a chance to see Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Io Sky.
Bianca looked fire.
Always looking fire. Let me not say it too much. I don't want Mr. Montez Ford to.
No, please, no beef with the Street Profits.
None at all. We do not want the smoke at all. Let's make that very clear.
Honestly, I thought that cup was a nice touch, for real, for real.
Very nice touch. Then also with the Mean Girls, we did have Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton, and that is just one of my favorite watches, personally. And Liv Morgan.
I will
too.
agree.
Everybody, just delightful. Everybody, just round of applause.
All the way around. Fantastic job.
So yeah, I'll probably match your rating with that. I'll give it a 6. I'll keep it at the performance and also keep it at the eye service. Then we have our second match with Shinsuke Nakamura and LA Knight. I'm gonna give that a solid. I'll give that a 6 as well. It didn't really do too much for me. I'm not a big fan of LA Knight matches. I just like the guy. I just don't think his ring work is that.
His mic work is way better than his ring work, I'll tell you that.
So much
and his
better.
mic work's not the most amazing, but it's pretty good.
Oh, it's very good. It's very much above average. Sometimes it might be great, but him in the ring, I don't know. It's kind of a snooze fest for me.
It's a little stiff. He looked like he needed to take his aspirins.
But with Shinsuke, he's always on point in the ring, and his mic work is he doesn't speak much English, so it is what it
Mm.
is. Just vibes, you know.
So I will say it was better than the women's match, but it wasn't like a solid point better. I'll give it a 6.5.
It was not better than the women's match because that match didn't have Tiffany Stratton in it. Didn't have Tiffy time, so
That might just lose you a whole half point right there.
yeah.
6 it is.
Then we also have Big Dog. Actually, not the big dog. The biggest dog, Braun Breaker versus Sheamus versus Kaiser. I would give that
Um,
one. Dude, I don't think we can necessarily give this on a 10 scale. I think we should change our scale.
I'll give it 3 barks.
3 barks, 3 out of 5.
I'll give it a 3 out of 5 barks because Braun was fantastic.
I give
Now,
it 3.5. Actually, I'm gonna give it 5 barks because this was the Braun Breaker coming out show.
it was the Braun Breaker show.
It really
Sheamus
was.
definitely
Famous
gets my
Sheamus.
male award for most confusing addition to the match.
Yes,
So, I mean,
he was just
I'll
there
give
as
it
a
a 3.
body. And honestly, they could have did more story work between Braun Breaker and Kaiser. I'm not sure if they're using that as a transition for Braun Breaker to have his eyes set on the World Heavyweight Championship towards Gunther. But Louis Kaiser is a formidable opponent. Just on the problem is his opponent is a brick wall. So with that one, I'm gonna give that one 4 barks out of 5, just because Braun Breaker showed his ass per usual. And
Okay.
our fourth match on the card was Gunther versus Damian Priest, and Damian Priest being choked out
Uh,
in front of all of Canada.
and I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I'm getting real sick and tired of seeing Damian Priest lose in these real soft ways. That
Right?
one, honestly, outside of the fact that Finn came in at the last minute and kind of turned it up for me, that one was probably about a 5.
A 5 star?
Yeah,
So you
5 out of 10.
5 out of okay. So we're still on a 10 scale. If
Yeah,
that's the
Braun's the only
case,
one who gets barks.
okay, so he gets to for real. So yeah, with that one, I do think I want better for Damien, just because like he is just a great performer. He has gotten a lot better on his promos, and just overall, he has a great vibe to him. I think they took the belt off him a little bit too early, considering how long he held the Money in the Bank Championship. But at the time, Gunther had dropped his Intercontinental Championship, and either one or two, they can't both hold the title. But I would like to see a real feud between both of them where there's more at stake outside of it just being a championship match. Because Damian Priest still has unfinished business with the Judgment Day, even though they
For
did try
sure.
to move on past from it with Bad Blood. They're still interfering in his matches. So there's no point of him moving on from that, especially when he has a bunch of angry short people mad at him, such as Finn Balor
And Madonna.
and Mr. Big Forehead. Yes, Mr. McDonough too. So with that one, I would give that match a total. I would give it a 7 out of 10, just because they're both great performers. I just didn't feel much of a story being told. But outside of that, if it was just to take it at face value of a wrestling match, I'd give it a 7.
Okay. A little more generous than me.
What were you giving it?
I gave it a 5.
Give it a 5. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Priest and Gunther. I think they can just do more, but they're both strikers. So honestly, I was looking to see more slams being done, which I'm not sure if you've noticed. Like with bigger wrestlers nowadays, I don't see them slamming much anymore, unless it's with a smaller character or a smaller wrestler.
Yeah, or at least going for the idea of like really showing strength. Like the only time they really show strength is when you have like a Damian Priest versus a Dominic Mysterio, or
Yeah,
just somebody who's a complete and total polar opposite in size to somebody. And it's like that doesn't really showcase strength to me. That just shows a larger guy really fighting a smaller guy. But
yeah,
like,
and it really puts it at a disadvantage too because we've grown up to seeing big wrestlers do more slamming maneuvers
yeah,
like Kane choke slam, Big Show before he hurt his shoulder choke slams. Sometimes they might like Kurt Angle. He'll get up with you and hit you with a little suplex. Chad Gable is also capable of picking up giants and making it look good. I just can't see why Gunther can't necessarily put a little bit more like a hip toss or something. Like he's just literally just with his fat ass hands just smacking you in the chest the entire time. But
I
it
mean, he has a
works.
power bomb, but I really feel like he only uses that against smaller opponents. He doesn't really use it against bigger people.
He tries to use it on bigger people, but once again, I can understand lifting up someone who's almost like 300 pounds for a power bomb. It's probably not the easiest thing to do, no matter how
Mm,
strong you are.
or safe.
Yeah. So with that one, that is definitely a seven. Then we have our final match. We have the Bloodline feud part question mark question mark. They've been fighting for a very long time. I would give this one. I want to give this a high rating due to the vibes, but traditionally, not traditionally, but from what I saw in that match, I would give it a strong. I would give that a seven as well. There was a lot to be desired with Roman, but the Usos showed out per usual. Sami Zayn was there. Philip was also there. But the new bloodline has been showing their asses out for the past like few months now, and they're really the star of the show. I'm glad they're able to get that shine with the old bloodline. I'm not sure this is going to be a passing of the torch moment. I'm not sure if the new bloodline is going to win the war necessarily, but they definitely won the battle. Well, they lost the battle here, but with me, they gained some brownie points just because Jacob Fatu, superstar as always. Um, Tongaloa just being a good cheerleader. Tamatonga still bringing that energy within the new bloodline, and also Solo Sokoa holding it down, aka Mr. Suge Knight, Mr. Big Solo. But shouts out to Bronson Reed for being the DeMarcus Cousins to this new bloodline, and also um, sympathies for his injury. Hopefully, to see him before Royal Rumble. Fingers crossed. Do you know if he broke his foot or
Oh, he's probably going to be out for a little while. I mean, you got to imagine at
three
his size
three
coming
hundred thirty
straight
pounds?
down
Yeah,
on your ankle, like foot area, like his foot touched the ground before any of his body touched the table.
yeah. I
He's
tried to look at that, and it did hit the ground first. But how would that necessarily? Well, guess with physics, I guess it would kind of hit shit
that's a
down.
whole lot of that's a whole lot of force acting up on one point, buddy.
Yeah, that is a
Someone's got to go.
that is a lot of neg right there. But I gave it a seven. How do you feel about it?
Um, I will, as much as I want to give it an 8. Like I thought it was a fantastic performance. It had a whole lot of things going for it. I mean, the spots were great. The usage of weaponry and outside materials I thought was great. Um, I didn't really see a whole lot of questionable moments. Although I will say for the Usos being as strong of a tag team Hall of Fame contenders as they are, they look real out of sync there. Now I will say Jimmy did just get back from injury, but at the same time, you could definitely see Jimmy was a little slow. Maybe
He
'cause
he was a little slow. He hasn't wrestled much. With Jey Uso still being active and just actually, let's talk about his entrance. Every entrance Jey Uso has, he has been showing out. The crowd has been showing him mad love. Everybody's been eating along with him, and it's just perfect. Like I think his character has outgrown the bloodline. Even though of him being the right hand man, main event Jey Uso has definitely carved out a path for himself to lead on to bigger and better things. I would like to see him with competition for the WWE Championship because I still think he brings a great amount of talent to the main event scene, especially with him being so over. Let's not treat this like a LA Knight situation and just have him hot as fish grease for so long. Then when it comes time to actually do something, you just rush him into something and he loses. And now he is, I'm not saying losing his hype or anything else, but he has a lot of momentum going for himself. So I would like to see him to do bigger and better things.
yeah, I definitely agree with that. Especially with the roaring amount of hot that he is right now. Like, dude, he
Fish
pops in any
grease
scenario, any situation.
at the
You could
airport.
literally have him
Yeet.
wrestling anyone, and people are coming to see Jey Uso. Like
Yeet.
at this point, the longer that you go without giving him either a substantial title run or at least a substantial like rivalry with somebody, you're just ruining this moment that you have. Like, especially considering the fact that Jay's not a super young individual. He spent a vast majority of his time in the WWE as a tag team champion. So coming into his own as a singles at this point in his career, Now is the point in time when you either need to truly foster a real rivalry with someone. I mean, I will say Drew McIntyre and him did pretty well, but you kind of need to push it to the next level. So yeah, I'd probably give it a 7 myself.
Yeah.
Roman looked good. He could do a little better as usual. Um, the twins look great. I mean, once again, man, as much as Sammy has been a great portion with the Usos, one thing I'm starting to notice about Sammy is I'm falling out of love with him. Like I love him as a wrestler, but I just feel like I don't care.
I didn't understand his hype neither. I've never honestly I don't even I'm not saying I don't like his ring work neither. I haven't seen it yet, you know. It's kind of like Yeet. I didn't like his music at first. I thought it was kind of like, what is this noise? And as I started listening, I'm like, yo, this is pretty heavy metal hip hop. Like this got some flow to it. Like with Sami Zayn,
1000%.
he has a lot of hype around him. The fans love him. He gets a pop every time. I just don't see it. Maybe I wasn't watching around COVID when he necessarily started to take off. When
He
him
feels
and
like
Kevin Owens was in
listening to
NXT.
views. The first time you heard views and you just didn't know what the heck you were listening, you're like, I don't know, man.
Oh no,
I'm
I
still
definitely know
waiting
what
on
I was
that
listening to.
catch.
Oh no, that first song, "Keep Your Family Close," banger. Now, listen to views now. In hindsight, after everything else has happened, it hits a little bit different. Well, I think old Drake is probably the best Drake versus newer Drake is kind of stained, if you will. But
Mm,
that's all we have for today, folks. I appreciate you guys for coming along with this journey with us. Shouts out to BST, my hot tag partner, for holding me down
You
this
already know.
episode.
Hot tag, hot tag.
All right, until next time, guys, you have a nice one. Peace.
Hey, 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 can I holler? Can I holler at you? Can I holler at you? Can I holler, 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 holler?